Good evening, friends, and welcome to yet another awesome session of Mindful Living. We truly appreciate your taking out the time and joining us this Sunday. And I'm sure this will be an investment of time that will give very rich dividends. For those of you who may be attending our session for the first time, I'll take a minute to introduce myself and the context for the session today. Recently, I published my first book, Beyond Limits, which is a collection of short stories from my life, which inspired me and motivated me. And one of the stories that we featured in the book is about Ram and his Vanvas. And I related it to how, what KK did in the current times, we may call it as politics, as office politics, and how some things, sometimes when things don't go our way, we get disheartened. But eventually, these tough experiences is what is like going through fire, and it makes us a true leader. And that is why we remember Ram and we worship Ram after thousands of years. Even though there have been so many kings, if Ram would have been gone through his life normally, maybe we would not have remembered him. But because he went through this ordeal, he spent 14 years in the forest and went through all these difficult times. He became a hero who we worship today. So cut to the present times, when office politics happens, a lot of us get disheartened. And I have clients who are, as a coach, I have clients who come to me and talk about the difficult times they are having in their office. And I often share with them that this is something which we need to have a heart and, bear with it, and how we can make the best of the situation that we have. And around the same time, as I was writing the book, I also was discussing with Brigadier Vidur on having a session on leadership lessons from Ramayan. And that one conversation led to a few more. And eventually, we landed up launching a full blown series on Ramayan and how it can help us transform into becoming better human beings and better professionals. And our session today is the third one in this series. The first one was in November, second one in December, and this is the third one. And these videos, for those of you who may have missed watching these videos, you can catch up on the Mindful Living YouTube channel, the link for which we'll be sharing in our chat shortly. So on that note, let me take a minute to introduce Brigadier Vidur, who may not, for those who may not know him. Brigadier Vidur was commissioned into Regiment of Artillery of the Indian Army in March 1982, and he had a distinguished career in the Army starting from 1982 till 2015, where he rose from the rank of second lieutenant to become a brigadier. And through his years in the army, he led conventional offensive defense in Siachen Glacier and anti-terrorist battles in Kashmir and Assam, Arunachal in Operation Rakshak and Operation Rhino, respectively. He is also a qualified officer from the Defense Institute of Psychological Research in Delhi, and he has served as the president of the Elite Services Selection Board in Bhopal. Uh, During the year of his tenure, he evaluated over 2,500 aspirants and developed their personality profiles. He's also a qualified instructor in gunnery and has served as an instructor at surveillance and target acquisition branch of prestigious School of Artillery in Deolali. Post his retirement, he's actively involved in personality development training and training young lads to become officers in the Indian Armed Forces, ensuring that we have a supply of good talent coming into our defense forces who can guard our borders and protect our country from foreign aggression. And currently, he serves as the independent director on the board of Vanke's India Limited. Brigadier Vedur, welcome, and so happy to have you. The amount of efforts that he is putting in researching Ramayan, is amazing. For many, at least I can speak for myself, it's very difficult for me to read Ramayan the way it is written. But when we hear from people like Brigadier Vidur, who's studying it in depth, who's applying it, and who makes it contemporary, and he shares his He compares it with Mahabharata, and the perspective that he brings to it, from Satyug to Dwapar Yug to Treta Yug to Kaliyug. It's completely amazing. I'm sure you are in for a treat. Stay engaged. We will take question answers towards the end of the session, but remain actively engaged. Keep your cameras on so that we can see your beautiful faces. And if you have questions, comments, please keep typing them in the chat, and I'll take care of. I'll keep out for it, and we will pick them up towards the end for a response from Brigadier Vidar. For those who are joining Mindful Living session for the first time, I'll take a minute to share with you that we started Mindful Living community in 2020 when the first lockdown took place. And this is a community of people who are dedicated to living consciously. And we don't advertise about the work that we do. The only way you can join this community is when somebody invites you. And today I invite you with an open arm to join our WhatsApp community, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can get previous sessions, recordings of the sessions that Brigadier Vidur has done. This is a no-nonsense community, no good morning, good night messages, only people sharing about their journey on living mindfully. No religious, political posts, etc. So stay actively involved, keep your camera on. And on that note, I'll request Brigadier Vidur to take the session forward and share with us the wisdom from the ancient scripture.
Thank you so much, sir. Can you all see me and hear me?
Loud and clear, Brigadier Vidur.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for those good words spoken of me and for my introduction. Thank you, all of you, for sparing your time for this session. This is the third session in the row, and I can't see myself. I'll just check once. Yeah, I can see now. Okay, so the first one, as Mr. Ashish brought out, was in December and then January. November and December. And we had a break in January probably, and today is the third one. So far we have discussed, some part of Ramayana where, I have compared the personalities of Ramayana and Mahabharata, starting from personality of Duryodhan to the personality of Rama, where Duryodhan says, Janami dharmam nachame pravrutti and janami adharmam nachame nivrutti. I know what is righteousness, but it is not my piece of bread. And I know what is unrighteousness that I am doing, adharma, but then I can't prevent it. From that to the completely righteous man, that is Rama. All of us have all those personalities hidden within us. It is not that one personality is Duryodhan and one personality is Rama, Sri Ram. We have all these personalities. The most predominant personality that we have priority for, that is the personality which emerges out. And that personality normally depends on, like they say, the books you read and the company you keep. Your environment makes out which personality out of that is predominant. In the second episode, we have discussed that Ramayana is not just a story written by somebody. Like you have historical accounts written by many of the good historians, but they have their own perception. There are two good historians writing about Shivaji will have slightly different perception. Here that was not so. Here it was all planned. It was planned by Brahma and Narad that Valmiki will write this thing, and it was planned years, thousands of years ago, when Valmiki was just a Lutera. Now, as you will see further in Ramayana, you are consigned to become a stone or become ashes, and it is not a very difficult thing for Narad to tell those days Valmiki that you will become a stone today onwards and you will not be troubling people. But no, he told him, you go home, ask your parents, ask your relatives whether the sins that you are committing, will they partake those. And then he comes back, he says, no, they're not ready. Then he says, okay, you start your penance from today. you start saying Ram, 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 but he cannot say Ram, Ram, Ram because that is nachame pravrutti. So then he says, okay, you say Mara, 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 which is dead. So he starts Mara, 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 and then he becomes Ram, Ram, and then he becomes Valmiki. So it was all planned. And it was planned basically to provide a beacon for what is righteousness. Like we have a guided missile, guided missile has a direction given, and it has a mechanism. When it goes haywire, it is automatically corrected. So similarly, Ramayana, it becomes a beacon for us. We can measure our deviation from it and try and come back to the deviation. So it's a beacon light, it's a watch, it's a time measuring equipment to us. If we are late or early, we'll only know when you have the time measuring mechanism. So that was about the second part. Today we shall I'll before I go further, I will share my
రామాయణం గురించి.
can you see it? I can't. Yeah, Ramayana.
ఏంటి రామాయణం?
I think, sir, I need your help.
You're on mute.
Yeah, Brigadier Vidar, you just shared it before we started. So
Yeah, it is there only. It is not removed. Just check. Yeah.
yeah, we can see it now, Brigadier Vidar.
That's great.
You just need to make it full screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most difficult part of the session. So, Ramayana, transformational tool for corporate professionals. That is the main heading under which we've been talking. And it includes both personal lessons as well as some of the professional lessons from Ramayana. Today we will talk about the Baal Kand. We have already spoken about Baal Kand a little bit. We'll go further today. These are certain disclaimers which I've been giving earlier. Now, Valmiki Ramayana has got 24,000 verses, 647 chapters called Sarga, and 7 Kand, that is starting from Baal Kand, which is up to the marriage, and thereafter Ayodhya Kand, Aranya Kand, Kishkinda Kand, Sundar Kand, Yuddha Kand. Now, up to Yuddha Kand, that is till the time Sri Ram comes back from the war. That was when Valmiki was designated to write Ramayana. And Uttarkand happened later on. So what happened, the entire mechanism that we will see later. So there were a number of queries. Now what happened was Valmiki was already designated to write. It was decided by Narad Muni and Brahma that he will be writing the Ramayana. Now, since that writing of Ramayana was put into his mind, he started thinking as to I must write something. I must write something. What should I write? It was all design. So what should I write? So all these things came to his mind. We've seen this last time, but it is just a repetition of that. Who is that person in the world today whose qualities of prowess, righteousness, gratitude, truthfulness, firmness? Who is that person who is gifted with good conduct, given all the well-beings of the, he's learned in all lores, is capable of doing things which the others cannot do, singularly handsome, who is the self-restrained person and who can conquer his anger, who is endowed with the brilliance and is free from envy, who is that when excited or excited to wrath, even Devatas are afraid of him. All these things came to his mind. And uh, Narad Muni and Brahma expected that these things will come to his mind. And then when the iron is hot, Narad Muni appears. Narad Muni says, and Narad Muni was, of course, uh, known to Valmiki. He was a spiritual guru. So he projects these questions to him. Considering that Narad Muni was his old friend and guru and spiritual guru, he would get answers. So Narad Muni speaks to him. Narad Muni speaks to him about the qualities that Rama has. I will not go into those qualities because last time we have spoken on the qualities of Rama that Narad Muni gives him. I will just tell you the gist of what are those qualities. So Narad Muni says, Sri Ram is bestowed with all the virtues. Sri Ram is like Vishnu in the prowess. I will just give you the Sanskrit version of this also. Vishnuna Sadruso Virye. Somavat Priyadarshanaha, the moon in pleasing appearances. Kalagni Sadrusha Krodhe, like the all-consuming fire in anger. Shamaya Prithvi Samaha, in patience, in forgiving, like an earth. Dhanadena Samatsyage, Kubera, like Kubera is in charity. The sun in steadfastness, Dhiratayam Suryaiva. Satya Dharma Ivapara, like Yudhishthir in truthfulness. And like Himalayan courage. Dharyena Himavanivaha. Samudraiva Gambharye, like a sea in composure. These are the qualities that the Rama has. Thereafter, he narrates the entire Ramayana to him. And till the Yuddha Kand, he narrates it in past tense. And after that, he narrates in the future tense. We covered this earlier, so I will not go over it again. And when Narad Muni goes back, in his daily ritual, Valmiki Muni goes for his evening bath. And there he finds that there are two crane birds. They are, romantically dealing with each other. And a hunter comes from behind and kills one of them. So somehow Valmiki does not like this act of the hunter and he curses him. Now his curse is something different from normally how he would have cursed. So it is something like this. Ma nishada pratishtam tvam agamas shaswati sama yat krancha mithuna dekam avadi kama mohitam. What means is, he's addressing the hunter. Since you have killed one of the pair of the infatuated cranes, you will be permanently deprived of your glory. Now, what is peculiar of these things which he thinks and which he curses is that every line of this has got 8 syllables. Now, let us take the first one. Ma nishada pratishtham tvam. Ma ni sha the pratishtham tvam. Tvam is 1. So total of 8. Ma ni sha the pratishtham tvam. So 8. Similarly, you will find in all lines there are 8 such syllables. Now this is a peculiar rachana called shlok. And this was the first poetic poetic composition which was made by by Valmiki, and therefore Valmiki is known as the Adi Kavi. And thereafter, the entire Ramayana is written in the same meter. The entire Ramayana, all 24,000 shlokas, are in the same meter, which has got 8 syllables each. So, to an extent, Valmiki is happy that he has created a poetry like this. But then he's unhappy that why did I curse that poor chap? So while he's thinking this, Brahma appears. Now this is all planned, that Valmiki will do this because Brahma has already given Saraswati on the tongue of Valmiki. So Valmiki has created this. Now Brahma appears and he reassures him. So Brahma says, don't worry, this is all I have only planned. This is all at my will, that you have created this poetry and you have given curse to him, but I'll ensure that nothing happens to that poor hunter. Then he directs him to narrate the history of Rama, renowned for the righteousness, virtues, wisdom, steadfastness, in the manner that he has heard it from Narad Muni, and the meter as this shloka. And he doesn't stop at that. He says, you will be able to view with your yogic insight, you will be able to view entire Ramayana, not only the actions, but even the emotions behind the actions, the logic behind the actions, what one thinks before doing a particular action. Everything will be revealed to Valmiki by the grace of Brahma himself. And he also assures him that not even a single word of Valmiki in this epic will ever prove untrue. And he not only writes the past, but he writes also the future. Uttarakhand is the future. And they say everything that he has written is all true. It happened thereafter in the Ramayana. So with that blessing of Brahma, Valmiki starts writing. Now he views the entire Ramayana. I'll not go into the detail, but what Narad Muni has conveyed to him, he actually views everything. He views Rama being born. He views Ayodhya before and after Ram. He views their education, what Ram does before going to Vanvas, his entire Vanvas, what happens in the war and what happens after he comes. He has been able to view everything, the logic behind everything and the emotions behind everything. And then he forms the Ramayana. Now, I will not say here writes Ramayana or what, but because Ramayana is said to be Valmiki Rachita and not Valmiki Likhita. So he's probably, those days, writing was not there. So he has thought of Ramayana in his mind, and he puts it in all those shlokas. Now, Valmiki's problem was that I have thought of Ramayana. I have, say, for the purpose of practical ease, I will say, now that I have written Ramayana, how do I convey it to the people? Because you cannot make Xerox copy and give it to the people. So how do I convey it? And he thought that, music will be the most appropriate medium of conveying the Ramayana to the people. But now if music has to be the medium, then I must have a person with correct melody, correct pitch, correct intonation, because it is not only the words, but the emotions behind those words have to be conveyed to the people. And therefore, I must have the person who is good at it. And while he's thinking of whom I should, depute to do these tasks, he thinks of none other than Laukush. Laukush by now, you all must be knowing a little bit of Ramayana. And by now, Uttarakhand has started. My mistake, Uttarakhand has started. And, Sita has already been sent to Valmiki's ashram. Sita was pregnant when she goes to Valmiki's ashram. And Laukush has already been born, and they are of a substantial age to understand things. And in the words of Valmiki, uh, they were humility, devotion, character, and competence personified. And they had tremendous knowledge of music. So Valmiki Muni trains trains Lavakush to sing Ramayana, and they then go into the, uh, they travel all over and sing Ramayana in front of uh, the normal people, the Rishi Muni, everyone, and everyone appreciates Ramayana because it is not that they don't know the story of Ramayana, but then the emotions behind those Ramayana, emotions behind those stories are not known to the people. So they are very happy. And one of these days, the Bharat, Sri Ram's brother, he meets them somewhere while they are narrating Ramayana to the people, and he becomes so happy that he takes them to the palace, and then Sri Ram hears Ramayana. That is a very emotionally touching scene. Now, I would like to just explain to you. Uh, there is uh, one poet by the name Gadi Madgulkar in Marathi. He has created Geet Ramayana, and a very eminent poet. And another eminent singer and composer, Sudhir Joshi, he has sung it. And if somebody of you knows Marathi, it's extremely famous Geet Ramayana. It is almost about 1.5 hour of program, all songs related to Ramayana. I just want to, I don't know how much effect it will make, but I just want to narrate two stanzas, the first stanza and the last stanza of one of the songs, one of the poetries. It says, कुमार दोघे एक वयाचे, सजीव पुतळे रघुरायाचे, पुत्र सांगती चरित पित्याचे, ज्योतीने तेजाची आरती. What it means is, these two boys of same age, they are the replica of Sri Ram. They are singing in front of him his own Ramayana. They are appearing as if a small jyoti derived from a divine light is doing the arati of the light itself. That is what is sung by him. When you hear that, it is very emotional and very nice. The second stanza, which is supposed to be the last one, it says, Soduni asana uthale raghava. He left his throne and he got up from there. Uthuna kavaliti apule shaishava. He hugs his own child. And it was a scene of divine father-son meeting. Putra bhetita ghade mahotsav. Parito ubhaya nacha mahiti. Both each other don't know that they are father and son. So that is how he has described. So that is how emotionally Lavakush have conveyed Ramayana to the people. And that is how, Ramayana is known to so many people. And then it has been reduced to writing. And that is how we see Ramayana today. Till then, till here in the Baal Kand is all history. The actual recitation of Ramayana starts after here. So the first thing is the description of Ayodhya. Now, this is what we can learn about governance from what Ayodhya was in those days and what Ayodhya has been described in Ramayana, which is thousands of years. People say it is 8,000 years, but I don't think it is 8,000 years. But it must have been much older, document. See how Ramayana is describing Ayodhya, and all these things were available those days. It was a well-to-do city, size of 12 yojan long and 3 yojan wide. Now, yojan is approximately 8 kilometers. All those who know Hanuman Chalisa, you know, in Hanuman Chalisa, there is a mention of Yojan. Yuga Sahastra Yojana Para Bhanu, Lilyo Tahi Madhura Falajanu. So we will not talk about the second line, but the first line is Yuga Sahastra Yojana Para Bhanu. Yuga is 12,000 years is one Yuga. Sahastra is 1,000. Yojana, मतलब 12,000 multiply by 1,000 योजना के ऊपर भानु है, that is सूर्य है. And this, if you really multiply 12,000 multiply by 1,000 by 8, it becomes 96 million miles. And NASA in recent past has said that sun is 93 million miles, which comes to about 153 million kilometers by the calculation of Hanuman Chalisa, and it is actually 150 as per NASA. So just that I read Yojan and that thing came to my mind. So it is approximately 150 by 40 kilometers of a city. And those days, Dasharath was approximately 60,000 years old. All fascinating figures, but that is a matter of truth. And he was ruling the entire world, and this was his capital city. Actually, Ram Rajya existed there before even, Sri Ram was there. The total loyalty, integrity, and walk the talk. There were good breeds of horses and elephants available there. Bhadra elephant from Himalayas, Mandra from Vindhyachal, Mruga from Sahyadri. And the most fascinating is that they were hybrids those days. And they were huge elephants made from all three categories as well as each two of them. And they were huge. Parvata Kaya, that is the word given in Ramayana. So they were huge mountain-sized elephants. They had two types of water storage system, Devamantraka and Nadi Mantraka. Devamantraka depended on rains. So the water harvesting was there those days. Nadi Mantraka depended on the water source like rivers. It is said that continuously for 11 years, it was famine in Ayodhya and nobody even realized that there is famine. When the 12th year started, that Dasharath took some action. He had a fight with Indra and all those things. But after the 12th year, he got it. We'll not go into that. So he got it after the 12th year. So that was about these things. Their administration. The administration of Ayodhya was very high standard with 8 ministers and very highly acclaimed gurus, and consequently a very effective tax regime, administration, and intelligence collection. If you see the names of these 8 ministers, they were metaphors for the special qualities that they possessed. Drishti. So one of the ministers was Drishti, means vision. He had farsightedness, had wisdom to see ahead of time. He was architect of Ayodhya's future. Vijaya, he always led Ayodhya's army to victory. So maybe probably a defense minister or something like that. Jayanta is the one who ensured that the victory remains. The victory, after you get the victory, it is maintained. Surashtra, responsible for keeping the royal treasury full by collecting taxes, ensuring that financial stability is there, like Nirmala Sitaraman of today, probably. Siddharth, he was responsible for fulfilling all the needs of citizens and the king, both, not only citizens, king also. Knows the art of resource management, keeps everyone happy, at the same time ensure that the state responses were not depleted. Akopa, who does not allow grief or lamentation, ensured that no citizen was remorseful or disgruntled, made himself available to the people at all times, allowing them to speak their hearts out without fear or without being misjudged or without being mistreated. Now, these are the qualities that we expect from our politicians today. And sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't get it. So that is the kind of things. And Ramayana, in Ramayana, you always have it. Dharmapal, who guides according to the truth or dharma. Policymaker, adapting the statecraft, recommends policies, supervises their implementation, promotes stable governance at home as well as friendship and goodwill to the other states. Now there were other states, since Dasharath was commanding the entire world, they say, there were other states who were under them. So that was his responsibility. Sumantra was the prime minister. He was the oldest and the wisest. Now, just to see, I mean, imagine how old was Sumantra. Sumantra was there with Dasharath, and after Dasharath, Sri Ram, ruled for 11,000 years. And when Sri Ram surrendered into the river Saryu, Sumantra was his prime minister there also. So he probably lived those 60,000 years, or I don't know from where he started, but he ended beyond Sri Ram. So much of the life was given to Sumantra. He headed the cabinet, Dasharatha's confidant, natural leader, simplest of all ministers. He commanded great respect. His words were considered absolute truth. Now, apart from this, there were gurus like Vasishtha and Vamadev. Now, you all must have heard about Saptarshi, Great Bear. Now, Vasishtha is one of the rishis of the Saptarshi. In fact, strictly calling about Saptarshi, it is a twin star, that is Saptarshi and Arundhati. And they say that in South India, on the day of your marriage, the newly wedded couple, they have a look at the Saptarshi and especially the Vasishtha star. Now, they say whenever there is a twin star in any constellation, normally one star is static and the other moves around that star. So if that was the case, then it is not a thing which a newly wedded couple should see, because we don't recommend that policy that husband should be the boss and wife should revolve around him, or wife should be the boss and the husband should revolve around her. We don't recommend that policy. So why people look at it? So it was revealed those days and must have been revealed, and therefore this ritual must have come. They move around each other. Both are moving stars. It's a very unique star where in the twin stars both are moving and both are moving around each other. And that is where probably this ritual has started, that the newly wedded couple should look at that and take the lesson from it. Anyway, we are going out of the syllabus, but just that I knew something about Vasishtha, so I thought let me share my knowledge. So that was about the description of Ayodhya. Now, this gentleman, Dasharath was already 60,000 years old, and he was not getting a child. I believe there is a story that goes about Ravan. Ravan was afraid of Dasharath, and Ravan did not want that Dasharath should get a child, because if Dasharath gets a child, he will be as strong as Ravan. So as strong as Dasharath. So he always wanted that for the Dasharath, there should be no child born. And for some reasons, Brahmadev had given him that blessings. So it wasn't happening. So now what is the way out? So those days, all your personal decisions also were, considered by your ministry. So when the somebody calls them big M, that is all the ministers as well as your gurus. So he was taking their advice as to, I'm 60,000 years old and I'm about to, I might die anytime. What do I do? So Sumantra quotes a discussion or a talk by Sanaka in Satyayug. Sanaka is supposed to be Brahmadeva's son. So he had said that in the year so and so or whatever in Treta Yug, there will be a king called Dasharath who will not get child for 60 years. And after 60,000 years, and after 60,000 years, he will create a yajna called Putreshti, which will be conducted by one Rishi called Shrunga Rishi. And he will do it, and thereafter he will get 4 children. So he says there is a Shrunga Rishi in a place called Angadesh, which is nearby. And very peculiar about this Shrunga Rishi was, Dasharath had a daughter, which was adopted by Romapad, who was a king of Angadesh. And this Shrunga Rishi was married to, that her name was Shanta. And the Shrunga Rishi was married to Shanta, and he was staying with Romapad. He was son of Vibhandak. Shrunga Rishi was son of Vibhandak, and he was a very great Rishi. So all those qualities had come in Shrunga Rishi. So Shrunga Rishi, along with Vasishtha and Vamadev, conducted the Putreshti. So after conducting Putreshti, when the Yajna came to a particular level, they invoked all gods. Now all gods were also worried because Ravan was creating havoc. And if Ravan creates that havoc, Ravan was given a blessing that he will not be killed by the gods, he cannot be killed by Rakshasas, he cannot be killed by Deva, Gandharva, Yaksha, Kinnar, Rakshasa. All these categories who were available, serious senior categories. And this is a blessing which he himself asked. And fortunately or unfortunately, or as a divine plan, he did not include human being and anything else lower than the human being in that. So he said, आदमी तो मेरा कुछ कर नहीं सकता है. So all gods were worried, and Navagraha ko he had kept Navagraha under his feet, and gods he wouldn't give any respect. So all demigods were worried. Since they got this event, so on the sidelines, all gods had a meeting. They met Brahmadev and they requested that you must tell Vishnu that he should do something about this. Now we all are under threat. What happens tomorrow when he captures the entire world? What will happen to us? So Brahmadev agrees, and Brahmadev then invokes Vishnu. And he says, look, this is the thing, and Ravana has been given these blessings, and we have to create some human being, who can kill Ravan, and who that human being can be, other than you. So Vishnu says, okay, let me do something. And Vishnu remembers that there was one Manu and Shatrupa in Satyayug who had done a lot of tapascharya and got blessings from Vishnu that I'll be born to you. Like he has given a similar blessing to Kashyapa Muni, and he was born to them as Vamana. So here also, then he realizes that Dasharatha and Kausalya, they are the reincarnation of Manu and Shatrupa. So he says, okay, I take your request, and I will take birth. I will take birth in the womb of Kausalya, and I'll come in 4 forms. And you be assured that I will do something. So all gods are very happy. But Brahmadeva says, you see, it's not only Vishnu in the form of a human being can do anything alone. You have to have uh, somebody to help him. So who would help? So he said, uh, all gods must appear on the earth or give birth to the children as vanara, as monkeys. Now, why monkeys? Probably, I don't know. But monkeys is, the monkeys will probably humiliate Ravan so much. And, your the level of your insult is inversely proportional to the level of person who insults you. My boss insulting me, I won't mind. But my colleague or my subordinate insulting me, my ego is hurt. So probably, they wanted to make sure that a human being and Vanara, they kill Ravan so that Ravan feels more humiliated. So that could be one of the idea behind getting born as Vanar. So Lord Vishnu promises to appear on Prithvi in the form of 4 human beings, and Devatas promise to appear as Vanar. So Vishnu says, when I come here, I will kill Ravan, I'll kill Ravana's family, I'll kill his ministers, I'll kill everybody. You don't worry about it. Now he undertakes this, and he takes birth, like I told you, in the womb of Kausalya. He comes in 4 forms. And these forms are Sri Ram himself is the Vishnu himself. Lakshman is the Sheshnag. Bharat is his Sudarshan Chakra. And Shatrughna is his Kaunch. Panchajanya Shankar. So these are the 4 forms of Vishnu. Devatas appear in the form of Vanar. Just for your information, Hanuman is the son of Vayu. That's why they call him Vayuputra Hanuman. Mahinda and Dvivida are other Vanaras, which are sons of Ashwinis. Nala is son of Vishwakarma, who was an engineer of those days. And Nala is the person who created the Setu. Nala and Neela together. Neela was the son of Agni. Sharabha was the son of Parjanya, the rain god. Sugriva was the son of Surya. Susneha was the son of Varuna. Tara was the son of Brihaspati. Vali was the son of Indra. Gandhamadana was the son of Kuber. So all these appeared on the earth as Vanara, and plenty of them in crores. 160 crore Vanaras took birth on the earth. So that was the size of Sri Ram's force. When it comes to childhood, a very little is said about childhood of Sri Ram and all 4. So we'll just have a look at the structure of Ramayana again. Ramayana lasted for 11,000 years because that is how the Ram lived. First 25 years were in Baal Kand. 14 years were in all other Kands, like we discussed. And Uttarakhand was 11,000 minus these 39 years. That is 10,000 something, something, something. So actually 25 years were condensed to just 77 sargas. And 10,000 something, something was only in 110 sargas. So you can imagine the importance given to the wartime in Ramayana. Why this, we will see a little later. So in 25 sarga, if we have to speak from first 4 sargas have gone in the background, which we discussed earlier, that how the Ramayana was formed. Then about Ayodhya, then their birth, their education, their marriage, in between, a lot of other things. So how much could his childhood get? It hardly got anything. His childhood was spoken only in one sarga. That's all. Out of 77, only one sarga was given to his childhood. And the childhood means right from the end of Putreshti to the arrival of Vishwamitra, who comes after his education is over. He comes when he's 12 years old. So in between their childhood, their education, they go to the guru for education after their Yajnopavit. Then they come back, they spend some time, and Vishwamitra comes. So almost 12 years gone in that. Sri Ram Janma, including all 4 brothers, are just 10 shlokas. In that one sarga, just 10 shlokas talk about that. That less representation is given to the childhood of Sri Ram. Now, a question comes as to why this must have happened. We hear so much about Krishna. Krishna Leela is such a famous thing. What he did to Gopikas, what he did to his friends, his brothers. Everything is, we hear it so fondly. And about Ram, the childhood is not spoken at all. So one of the critics has explained this. Sri Ram is called Anusthana Pradhan Avatar. Ramavatar is called Anusthana Pradhan, meaning that who has descended with the aim to teach human being the lessons of righteousness based on his own accomplishments. He will do the things and you learn from that. Whereas in case of Sri Krishna, it is Anubhava Pradhan. That is his fascinating experiences. How he deals with Gopikas, how he deals with the parents, how he deals with the friends, how he deals with Arjuna, how he deals with the elders. We learn from his experiences rather than what he does. So that is probably the reason why so much of less time was given to the childhood of Ram. In Ramacharita the poet says, Guru Graha gaye padhana raghurai, अल्पकाल विद्या सब आई, मतलब जाने का टाइम ही नहीं था उधर. Rama had no time for all these things. He just went to the Guru Graha and he learnt everything. All 4 children learnt everything and they came back. So why waste time on Baal Kand? That is what Valmiki must have thought. Now after everything was over, they, as a Baal Kand, they went to Guru Ashram. Vasishtha was the Guru whom I described earlier. They come back, they spend some time, with their father in the administration, etc., etc. And one fine morning, Vishwamitra arrives. Now, Vishwamitra comes with a purpose. Vishwamitra is a big rishi. He was born as a Kshatriya, and he then becomes a Maharshi, Brahmarshi rather. Okay, so he becomes a Brahman, and his journey from a Kshatriya to a Brahman is filled with perseverance and buoyancy. Time permitting today or in the next session, I'll talk about that. And I must talk about it because without that, I don't think Ramayana is complete. So Vishwamitra appears and Vishwamitra seeks Rama's help from Dasharath. Now, when Vishwamitra comes, Dasharath, welcomes him, and Dasharath was a big king, and Vishwamitra was a big Maharshi, Brahmarshi. So Dasharath says, Guruji, please come and ask me whatever you want, I will give you. You just don't have to worry about it. Any big king would say that to any big Brahmarshi. So Vishwamitra tells him that, look, I am doing a yajna very nearby from here, 3-4 days journey, and in which there are two Rakshasas called Marichi and Subahu. They are creating problems in this. And since I am conducting yajna, I cannot be angry and I cannot curse them. Otherwise, I can kill them. But I cannot be angry, and therefore I need Ram. Ram is the only person who can kill them. I know that. So I want Ram with me for a few days, and I will give him back to you within a week or maybe 15 days. So he says, Aham vedmi mahatmanam, Ramam satya parakramam, Vasishthopi mahateja, ye cheme tapasistita. I know who Sri Ram is. He is great soul with great prowess. His even Vasishtha knows this, and the other sages who are here, they also know it, that Ram is not what you think Ram is. Ram is much superior to than what you think. But Dasharath is a father. Now, a very important weakness of father has been brought out in Ramayana at two places. One is here, and another is at the end of Baal Kand when he meets Parshuram. For Dasharath, Ram is a small child. He's a 12 years old child. Dasharath has got a lot of love for him. Dasharath has got him after 60,000 years. So you can imagine, I mean, when we have some cases where, the children are born to parents at 40 years, 42 years, and they love their children so much. Here is a case where you are born, your children are born 60,000 years. So Dasharath's initial reaction was extremely full of denial. He says, what nonsense are you talking? I mean, you want Rama to kill Marich and Subahu, who are the children of Tatika and Sunda. So you want my Ram, who is just 12 years old, to kill these Rakshasa who are trained, who know tactics, who are experts in the defense technology, and who have all the support from Ravan. And you want this 12 years old child to kill them? It is, you want me, I'll come with you. You want my force, I will give you my force. But please don't take Ram. And then Valmiki says what he said earlier. And so he pleads to Vishwamitra not to take him. So Vishwamitra doesn't get angry, but he says, then as a king, you are failing in your duties. When I came here, you only told me that you will get everything that I want. So you better not do this. You should keep your words. At this time, Vasishtha comes in. And Vasishtha advises. He says, look, if Vishwamitra has come to ask for Ravan, he must have come with a purpose. He must have come with a knowledge. And when Vishwamitra is taking Ram, you think he will allow any undue thing to happen to him? He will be completely under his protection. He will not allow anything to happen to him. And therefore, if you listen to me, you must allow Ram to go with him. Otherwise, Vasishtha and Vishwamitra also were enemies at some point in time, and both know each other as to what Vishwamitra can do. So he says, don't do this. Please give Ram. And fortunately, Dasharath agrees that, okay, I will give you Ram. Now, a very interesting thing, both Dasharath and Vishwamitra call Sri Ram as Rajiv Lochan. Now, Rajiv Lochan, Rajiv is lotus. When I heard it for the first time, I was surprised. I mean, how can, Nehru family name their son as Rajiv when it means lotus. But then I realized that Rajiv Gandhi was born in 1944. So those days, the lotus part of it did not exist and they didn't have much of importance. So Rajiv Lochan is lotus eyes, lotus eyed. But the perception of two for calling Ram as Rajiv Lochan was different. Dasharath called him Rajiv Lochan because in the evening, when he got tired and when he slept, his eyes were appearing as a closed lotus. And Dasharath found, love in it. Whereas Vishwamitra, when he calls him Rajiv Lochan, with the first touch of sun rays, when the lotus blooms, that is what he feels are the Sri Ram's eyes. So that is why he calls it Rajiv Lochan. So that is how the perception of a person who looks at a person matters. So Dasharath agrees, and these people leave. When Sri Ram goes anywhere, Lakshman has to go. Like somebody was saying, if Sri Ram is the flag, Lakshman is the flagstaff. When flagstaff and flag cannot be separated. So, and probably maybe because of the way what happened after Putreshti, I did not cover, but after Putreshti Yagya, a representative of Agni came, a representative of the Surya. Agni came with a jug full of kheer, and this kheer was to be distributed between the three queens. So what Dasharath did is he gave some kheer to Kausalya, some to Kaikai, and the remaining was distributed between again distributed, and some part of it was given to Sumitra by Kausalya as well as Kausalya as well as Kaikai. So what happened? Out of the Sumitra's two children, one got attached towards Kausalya's child and one got attached towards Kaikai's child. So Shatrughna was always with Bharat and Lakshman was always with Ram. So when Sri Ram went with Vishwamitra, Lakshman also followed. How much time we have, sir?
We have about 20-25 minutes, Brigadier Vidar.
Okay, so nearest where I finished today, I will continue till there, and then mostly I should be able to finish Baal Kand, but let me see.
Okay.
Okay, so they proceed with Vishwamitra, and on the first night, now see what is the plan, It is not out of blue that Vishwamitra comes and takes them. It is planned by Vishnu or whoever to give something to Ram, and that is why all things are designed. So on the first night, they're going walking. On the first night, they halt at the banks of Saryu, and Vishwamitra hands over two important vidya to him, two important knowledges. And these vidyas are called Bala and Atibala. So with Bala and Atibala, Sri Ram and Lakshman get a power. And what is this power? You will never be fatigued. You will never have a fever. And there will be no change in your appearance, whether you are asleep or you are agitated. So therefore, Rakshasas will never be able to kill you. This is the knowledge, this is the vidya that they get on the first day. And they're so fast in doing it. So without wasting much of time, probably Valmiki has reduced everything to just, inculcating that vidya. Like he says, आप मेरे में विलीन हो जाओ. Like we'll see further what are other astra etc are given to Ram. So all those astra are in live form, and Ram just tells them कि आप मेरे में विलीन हो जाओ. मतलब you just go into my mind, and then whenever I ask for it, you come out. So that is why you see in the serials also, they first pull their string, and then they say, okay, Brahmastra or Varunastra, and that astra comes. So that is how it is. So in today's parlance, I would say that okay, if I, as a general officer commanding of a formation, I want a particular weapon to be used. So I take, depending on my power, I take permission from my boss, and then I know that yes, finding this particular weapon is within my capability, and okay, this is the unit which is holding those weapons. So I say, okay, this unit, please get deployed and fire. So that is all what happens in that one, thinking that Brahmastra is to be fired, and I fire Brahmastra. Okay. So after crossing, so after they get Bala, Atibala, the next day, the trio crosses to Angadesh, and they see a old Shiva ashram. And Sri Ram and Lakshmana are always curious. Whenever they see something, they ask Vishwamitra as to what is this. Very curious people. So he says, this is an ashram where Shiv Shankar was carrying out one tapasya. And, it was a habit of Indra that whenever somebody is carrying out any tapasya, Indra was always worried, because the gods always thought that, these people will take over us. So therefore, he created some kind of a problem to everybody who is doing tapasya. So he sent uh, the god of love, that is Kamadev, and created problems for Shiva. Now, Shiva has, anger was Shiva's third habit, and it always came out from his third eye. So when he came to know that, this is what is happening, he opened his third eye, and all organs of the Kamadev got dissolved, and they fell down. So from that day, Kamadev, the god of love, is Ananga, bodiless. So he is moving bodiless. Okay. So wherever he goes, he is not seen. Only that body which is under Kamdev's effect is seen. And that uh, that place was called Angadesh. Now Romapad was the king of this Angadesh, whose daughter was Shanta, who was the daughter of Dasharath adopted, and her husband was Rishishranga, who went and conducted the Putreshti Yagya for Dasharath. So this is that place which was commanded by this gentleman. So now they cross river Ganga, and which comes en route, and then they go to another side of Ganga. And here he finds a very dreadful forest. So he asks Vishwamitra, why is this forest like this? I mean, you don't have an animal, you don't have, flora and fauna, only big trees, and that's all. So he says there is one Yakshini who has been cursed to become Rakshasi. She has been cursed by Agastya Muni for something that he did not like. Otherwise, she was a Yakshini. And Yakshini are generally created for the security of the place, but she probably become high-handed, and Agastya had to, but she had the strength of 1,000 elephants. And she had been cursed to be the Rakshasini. So after she became Rakshasi, she was troubling everyone who passes by in that forest. And therefore, that forest nobody would like to go through. She was I said earlier that she was, but she was wife of Sun, correct. I correctly said that. She was daughter of Suketu. She was wife of Sun and mother of that Maricha who was creating problem for Vishwamitra. And she was cursed by Agastya. So Vishwamitra tells Ram that you have to kill her. Now Ram gets a little hesitant because he is killing a lady. And Stri Hatya is a pap. That is exactly the reason why Vishwamitra doesn't kill uh, Tatika. Because it's a Stri Hatya. But then why he tells Sri Ram to kill? Because when he gets hesitant, Vishwamitra tells Ram that, look, I am a Brahmarshi. I am a normal civilian. You are a king. And in the interest of your own subjects, you can do anything. You can go down to the level of killing a female. It will not be considered as a pap for you. You know, pap is never in action. It is in the intention behind the action. So if I kill her, probably for me, it is a pap. But if you kill her, it will not be a pap. So you please kill her. And then Ram, with all the vidya that he has, he kills Tatika. And when he kills Tatika, there is a huge sound because Tatika is a very huge lady with, like I told you, 1,000 elephants, strength. With that sound, the entire demigods, they come to know that Tatika has died. And when Tatika has died, everyone assembles there and thanks Ram for doing it. Now, as the, what do you say, prize for this, all the gods tell Vishwamitra, to give him all the astras that Vishwamitra is holding. So it is interesting to know what all astras Vishwamitra has, and Vishwamitra hands over these astras to Sri Ram. He's got Danda Chakra, Dharma Chakra, Kala Chakra, Vishnu Chakra, Trishula, Brahma Shira, Gada. 2 types of Gadas he has. Gada is that what Hanuman carries. Modaki, Shikhari, Dharma Pasha, Kala Pasha, these are other astras. Varuna Pasha, Ashani, Agneastra, Pinaka, Narayanastra, Vayuvyastra. 2 types of Shaktis, which are Hayashirastra, Kraunchastra. Some weapons which can be used for killing Rakshasas, Kankala, Ghora Musala, Kinkini. Some other weapons, Nandana, Khadaga, Sammohana, Praswapana, Prashamana, Saumya, Varshana, Shoshana, Santapana, Vilapana, Madana, which is loved by Kamadev, Manavastra, which is loved by Gandharvas, Mohanastra, which is Pishacha, Bhoot, Ket, they love it. Saumana, Samvarta, Shishira, Durjaya, Mosala, Twashta, which is created by Vishwakarma, Shiteshu, which is by Manu, Tejaprabha, which is by Surya. Now, all these weapons he hands over on the same evening, and then they relax in one of the ashramas there nearby. And from there, their 4th day journey starts. So all these Astra Shastra are given that day by Vishwamitra to Sri Ram. Now see what Vishwamitra has gained in that story, which I am going to tell you later. Now they get into their final lap, and that is their journey towards the Siddhashram. Now Siddhashram is the place where which was created by Kashyapa Rishi, and where Vishnu was earlier born as a Vamana, and he killed Bali Raja, who was trying to become the king of Rakshasas and, take over the gods. So he was killed by Vishnu in Vaman Roop. So that is the place where uh, this gentleman Vishwamitra was conducting his yajna. And his two problems were Maricha and Subhav. So now he hands over the entire environment to Ram and Lakshman, and he starts uh, getting into the yajna and the other ascetics also there. They start doing the yajna. Now, Rama and Lakshman don't know when Maricha and Subahu would come. But at this time, they had that Bala Ati Bala with them. So they wouldn't get fatigued, they wouldn't feel sleepy, and they would be alert throughout those 6-7 days. At the end of the 6 days, Marich and Subahu both come. Now, he's got all these astras. By now, Ram has got all these astras. So Sri Ram calls for Manavastra for Marich. Now with Manavastra, Marich is, he aims and fires at him. But Marich does not get killed. Marich gets thrown away and he goes some 800 yojana. 800 yojan comes to about 1,300 meters. So I was just seeing from that place what would be 1,300 kilometers. So I find either, and he falls into an ocean. So it could be somewhere in the Bay of Bengal that he has fallen. So that is about 1,300 kilometers from that place. So he would have fallen in the, and from there he probably somewhere or the other he goes to Lanka and meets Ravan, and he is the same guy who took the roop of Harin, that golden eagle. He was Maricha. So although he was telling Ravan not to do it, but Ravan insisted, and he became then Harin, and because he is tested what is the anger of Ravan of Sri Ram, so he didn't want to do it again. But then Ravan is your king, so you can't deny that. So he is thrown there, and then Ram realizes that if I do this, then Subhahu also will be living again. So he uses Vayavastra for that, Agnayastra for that. And by Agnayastra, he consigns him to ashes. So Subhahu gets completely killed, and Marich gets thrown off. And Vishwamitra's yajna finishes, and Vishwamitra is very happy. So in the meantime, Vishwamitra also gives him other 50 odd, he has, there is one Rishi called Krushaswa. He's got 50 children who are Astra themselves. So he hands over all those Astras. So by now, Vishwamitra is almost without any Astra with him. And he's got Ram with all the Astras with him. So now it is the time to go back. So now see, there is other things are also, planned. It is not that time to go back means apna kaam khatam ho gaya and you go back. Ram has to get married also. And Ram has to get married to Sita. So it is probably a task given to Vishwamitra by some divine power. So now what Vishwamitra decides is that now what we'll do is we will go back to Ayodhya, but we will go via Mithila. And there is a big Dhanushya, which is a Shiva Dhanushya, which is kept in Mithila, which you people must see. Now, when he sees this, I am sure he knows that, Janaka, who is the king of Mithila, he has planned that whoever breaks that or whoever strings the bow will get married to Sita. Vishwamitra knows this, but he does not make Sri Ram and Lakshman know about it. He says, you must see that Dhanusha, and then you go back and I will go back to Himalayas. So now their departure for Mithila starts. So in the meantime, he tells him about his family. Vishwamitra tells him about families and other things. Now they reach a place called Vishala. There is a king Sumati of Vishala, which we have not referred to earlier in the story. We may refer to it somewhere later. They stay overnight in Vishala. The next day morning, they walk towards Mithila. Now, on the outskirts of Mithila, they find one ashram. And as their attitude is, Sri Ram and Lakshman get curious as to what is this ashram, which is a beautiful ashram, but you don't find anybody there. But the ashram is very well maintained, very nice. So Vishwamitra narrates a story. He says this ashram was habitated by Rishi Gautam, and Ahilya was his wife, and everything was going on well. Gautam Rishi was carrying out his tapascharya, and like I told you, Indra is always a spoil sport. And Ahilya was a very beautiful lady. So what Indra does once, Indra comes to Gautam Rishi's ashram. He poses as Gautam Rishi when Gautam Rishi has gone for his, bath to the river. He poses as Gautam Rishi and he comes and he demands sex from Ahilya. Now Ahilya looks at him. Ahilya also falls prey to his request. Okay, and they get into the action and, but when the action is over, Ahilya realizes that I have done a very grave mistake and she feels guilty and she tells Indra, you please go back, because if Gautam Rishi now comes, then we had it. So Indra gets ready and, when he's going back, that is the time when Gautam Rishi is coming back. So Gautam Rishi looks at him and he understands if Indra is taking Gautam's form and doing all these things, he understands the whole thing, and he gets infuriated and he curses Indra. He curses Indra that you shall be devoid of your scrotum, and immediately that organ falls down. And he goes to Ahilya and he he says, you will become a stone and you will only live on, breathing. That's all, nothing else. You'll not be able to eat anything. Your beauty will not matter to anybody hereafter. Nobody will ask you anything. Nobody will tell you anything. And you will remain here for thousands of years. But after all, it is his wife. So she also, in the form of forgiveness or kshama or whatever you call it, he says that after thousands of years, Sri Ram will pass by this, this area. And when he touches his feet to you, you will get your form back. So that is what Vishwamitra tells Sri Ram, this entire story. And he says, now it is your turn. So you please go touch your feet to that stone, which is Ahilya, and give her former form, and that is where your participation is required. So he goes, he does that. The entire, the demigods, they're happy. There is a celebration there, and also, the Gautam Rishi comes there and he takes Ayodhya, he takes Ahilya back to Himalayas with him, and they started living together thereafter. Now, as far as Vishwamitra is concerned, all the tasks that they were envisaged en route, they are all over. That is Tatakavadha, Marich and Subhahu Vadha at the Yajna site, and Ahilya giving her whole form, and they go into the Maithili city as such. When Janaka comes to know that Vishwamitra has come into the city, Janaka and his uh, his Purohit, that is Shatananda, they uh, come to welcome Vishwamitra and these two children who are with them. So Vishwamitra meets them, he welcomes them, and he is actually not expecting Ram and Lakshman with them, but he is impressed with their personality, and he asks Vishwamitra as to who are these guys who have the prowess of celestials, gait of elephants or lion. They resemble the tiger in courage. They have eyes like lotus petals. They are armed with bows and quivers. They resemble Ashwini in beauty and look like gods ascended below. Who are these boys who are traveling with? So he also explains that these are the boys who are the Rajaputra of Ayodhya, Dasharath's children, and they had come with me and they have done this, they have done Tatika Vada, they have killed Maricha and Subhahu, they have given their form to Ahilya back. Now when he's saying this Shatananda, who is his Purohit, he is the son of Gautam and Ahilya. He gets very happy and he actually thanks Sri Ram and Vishwamitra both. But he also heart in heart know that Sri Ram has done it, fine. But if Vishwamitra was not there, then this thing would not have happened. It is all because of Vishwamitra. And then he narrates a story of Vishwamitra as to how Vishwamitra has from a Kshatriya, he has become Brahmarshi. And it is a story of about 8 to 10 tapascharyas, each longing into, say, thousands of years. It is a story of perseverance and buoyancy. You fail so many times, you rise. You fail so many times, you rise. He's done that, and he has become from a normal king to a Brahmarshi who has no opponent in this world. Even gods are worried about Brahmarshis. So, under normal circumstances, I would have covered this story first, but since we don't have that much time, and I'll take almost, if not 1 hour, at least 45 minutes to cover the story. So, we will cover that in the next session. So now I will go on to the further part of Ramayana, which is marriage of Sita and Ram. So Vishwamitra tells them that he has done, these two boys have done this. And now I have brought them here because they want to see that Shiva Dhanusha which we have kept. So Janaka tells the story about this. So he takes them to the palace and he tells the story of what Shiva Dhanusha is. So he says, in the olden days, one of my ancestors, Devrat, he was given this Shiva Dhanusha by the Shiva himself. And thereafter, generations after generations, this Shiva Dhanusha is with this Mithila and with the Janak dynasty. So it is very difficult for anybody to lift this and string it. So he says, he also explains. So Shatananda giving historic counts will not do today. So Vishwamitra introduces his brothers and aim of their being here. Janaka explained the story of bow, which is what I told you. He also explained the Sita's origin. And Sita's origin is that she is not born to anybody. Sita was found by Janaka while he was tilling his land. And while he was tilling his land, his plow, he saw that plow taking Sita out of the mud. So he sees her and then he adopts her and he looks after her. So it's a very interesting story as to why Sita was not born. Ram was born, but Sita is not born. So this is an interesting story which I thought you all must see. There's a video on why this has happened.
Ramachandramurti is completely Vishnu Swarupam. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But despite being Vishnu's Purna Avataram, he has to sit for 10 months in Kausalya's Garbham. Valmiki himself says, Kausalya Janayad Ramam Sarvalakshana Samyuktam. That Rama is born to Kausalya after 10 months. But in the case of Sita, as we all know, she does not have any birth. She is just found by Janaka when he is plowing. But what about her? Why is she not born to Janaka and his wife? This is the first rahasyam of Devi. That whenever you look at Devi's avatarams, Devi is not born into a human womb. Look at all the avatarams you know. Sita, Radha, Parvati, Andal, Padmavati. The list is endless. She is only adopted. Because, Rahasyam number 1, she is Moola Prakriti. Moola Prakriti. You are reading this in the Lalita Sahasranamam. You know this better than me. Vishwagarbha, Swarnagarbha. The entire Vishwam is in her Garbham. So whose Garbham can take her? So therefore she will only appear. That is Moola Prakriti.
So that is why Sita was not born from somebody's womb. She was just found. And he says, I have looked after her, I want to marry her. And the only condition for marriage is Virya Shulka. That is, you have to be a brave man. No? So he kept one of the conditions that, anybody who lifts that bow, Shiva Dhanusha, I will marry Sita to her. And he says that even to Sri Ram when he comes there. Now, what has happened in the past few days is that anybody who comes there is not in a position to pick up that bow. And therefore, all the kings around, they get against, Janaka. And therefore, they wage a war against Janaka that you are trying to humiliate us. And all his resources are finished, and therefore he does some yajna in which he gets some resources from the gods, and then he wins. So all this has happened before Vishwamitra has come to Janakapuri, that is Mithila. So he tells Sri Ram and Vishwamitra that this is the story behind the bow, and this is what I have decided, that anybody who picks up this will marry Sita. Now Sri Ram, with all the, cutting the story short, it's a big story, but cutting the story short, he takes permission from Vishwamitra, and he lifts the bow. And when he's stringing the bow breaks. So it is not only lifting, but he breaks it. So when he breaks it, it is decided that Sri Ram will marry Sita, and it is decided that Sri Ram will marry Sita. The messages are sent to Dasharath, that this is what has happened, and if you approve of it, you please come. The entire Ayodhya Nagari, along with these people, they come. They settle down for the marriage, and then as an introduction, Vasishtha Muni gives the introduction of what the dynasty, Raghukula dynasty has been. Sir, 10 minutes है ना?
Time to ho gaya, sir, but we can continue. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll not take much time. I'll just read out how has been the dynasty of Raghukula. It starts with Brahma. After Brahma was Marichi, then Kashyap, then Vivaswana, then Vaivaswatas Manu, who was the first Prajapati, then Ikshwaku. Ikshwaku was the first Ayodhya king. Then came Kukshi, Vikukshi, Bana, Anaranya, Pruthu, Trishanku. We will hear Trishanku when we talk about Vishwamitra. Dhundumar, Yuvanashva, Mandhata, Susandhi, Dhruvasandhi, Bharata, Asita, Sagara. Gara is poison. So this man was born with poison. So he's called Sagara. Asamanja, Anshumana, Dilipa, Bhagiratha. Bhagiratha is the person who brought Ganga onto the earth. Kukutsa, Raghu, Pravruddha, Shankhana, Sudarshana, Agnivarna, Shighraga, Maru, Prashukshuka, Ambarisha. Now, just to give you the sense of time, how much tapashcharya Vishwamitra has done. His two successive tapascharyas, maybe fourth or fifth, third or fourth. One was disturbed because of Trishanku, and the next one immediately after that was disturbed because of Ambarisha. Now, Ambarisha is 23 generations after Trishanku. And considering each of them was living for so long, like Dasharath was living for 60,000 years, you can imagine how much tapashcharya Vishwamitra would have done, just to give an idea. Then Nahusha, Yayati, Nabhaga, Aja, and then comes Dasharath. So this is what Vasishtha explains. Similarly, Janaka explains. And then the marriage ceremony, while the marriage ceremony is taking place, Janaka proposes that it is not only Sita, but my other daughter, which is Urmila, I will also give it. So if you agree, Lakshmana can marry Urmila. So both Dasharath and Vasishtha accepted. In the meantime, he has got a brother called Kushadhwaja. So Kushadhwaja has got two daughters. I'm forgetting the names. So Vishwamitra requests Kushadhwaja to give his two daughters also to Bharat and Shatrughna. Okay. So it is decided there that all four daughters of that dynasty, both brothers, will marry four children. I think today we should stop here because there is another very important event of Parshuram coming into the scene.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't want to give it a lesser time. I want to discuss Parshuram in a little more detail. So
Surely.
if you permit, Mr. Ashish, next episode, whenever you can plan, I will discuss about Vishwamitra's all tapashcharya and what Parshuram does to this,
That'll be interesting.
Dasharath column, which is going back to Ayodhya.
Yeah.
Although that is small, but then let us speak about that next time.
Surely, surely. Thank you so much, Brigadier Vidar. You've been speaking non-stop for nearly 2 hours, and you've covered this in so much depth, with so many backstories. It's truly amazing. So thank you for that, Brigadier Vidar. In a while, we will just have each one of you share your feedback and your takeaways. But before that, we will quickly request you to fill out the feedback form, which we have shared in the chat. It will take 30 seconds for you to fill out the feedback form. And then we will open up the session for Q&A or comments.
So next time when we speak, I will go into a little more of details in the marriage also. Marriage as well as Parshuram's encounter, and then we'll go to Vishwamitra's tapashcharya.
So just the link is just coming up. While we're waiting for the link to come up, any quick comments? Yeah, it's there. Just fill out and please type. Oh, that's Murli. Yes, Murli, I completely agree with you. Yeah, the feedback form link is there. Please fill that out and type FD once you have filled out the form. Thank you, Suresh. And as you filled out the feedback form, Suresh, any comments, quick takeaways, questions you may have?
Yes, Ashish, thanks for this little. Sir, Vidur sir, amazing session and more in depth. It's like, kind of Katha Kalakshepam, which call it, in a local thing, very in depth and knowledge session. The only thing is, I just want to understand this. We are trying to correlate with how important it is or how it correlates to corporate professionals. So, would you be covering any specific to those aspects later?
In fact, there has been one question by one whose name is Sri Raman. So, Sri Raman's question was an answer in itself. I have dealt with that question. I have got 1 or 2 slides. I will just talk about that, and thereafter, if you have anything about the corporate also, we can speak.
Okay.
But as far as Ramayana is concerned, I think every shlok, every stanza, every sarga, every kand has got hundreds of lessons about, Ramayana, about what we learn for corporate as well as our personal this thing. So you can draw as many lessons as you want, but few of them we'll discuss.
Thank you. Thank you, Suresh. Those who have filled out the feedback form, please type FD and we'll be happy to hear from you, Richard, Yamini, Vilas. Thank you, Vilas. Thank you. Thank you. Any quick questions or comments from anyone? Brigadier Vidar, anything you would like to share before we close the session today? Any
No,
final
I've
comments
been
from
asked a
you?
question by one Mr. Raman.
Yeah,
So can I deal with that?
sure, surely.
Since you asked this question about 2-3 hours early, I could make a little bit of slide on that.
Okay.
I've been in the army for 33 years, and I feel more comfortable talking with the slides. So let me see. Yeah. So
Yeah.
3 takeaways, that is what was asked. 3 takeaways for corporate professional. If you need only 3, there are, you can go over and over as to how many takeaways there can be from Ramayana. One is walk the talk. Like there is one Chetwood motto, Chetwood credo, which is written in the IMA. The honor, safety of the country comes first, always and every time. The honor, safety, and comfort of the men under you comes next. And your own safety, honor, and comfort comes last, always and every time. And we in the defense forces have to follow it letter in spirit. Because we have to fight with our troops. We don't have to give them some work, for which anything else can be given as a booty. But when I have to fight with somebody and I have to take their life, I have to walk the talk. So I have to put this in my office behind me, and I have to do this. Now, corporate sector is nothing different. If you walk the talk, you will get the results from your subordinates. If you don't do that, it will be half-hearted effort. So any differences you can sound, because it is a two-way traffic now. So that is the first thing which I think. Second is, don't leave the path of righteousness. Connected to that is, try to be extraordinary rather than being successful. You can leave the path of righteousness and become successful. Who that? Saharas were successful. Kingfisher was successful. That is Malya. Malya was successful. Modi, Nirav Modi was successful. But see where they are today. But J.R.D. Tata was extraordinary. Ratan Tatas are extraordinary. Jamnalal Bajaj are extraordinary. So try and become extraordinary rather than being only successful in life. And that is what the Ramayana tells you. I'll just to give you a difference between successful and extraordinary. I'll just go a little ahead. To be successful is work hard, face challenges, know people, right people at right time, use shortcuts, and you can be successful. But if you want to become extraordinary, then work hard, face challenges, have discipline for yourself as well as others. English is the only language which has got self-discipline and discipline both different. In Sanskrit, it is Anushasan. But here it is self-discipline different and discipline different. And strong moral values. If you have this, you will be extraordinary and not just successful. There are no shortcuts. This is probably what Ramayana will teach me. Okay. Just to give you as the difference between discipline and self-discipline. We are about 7 odd postmates in Pune, and every month once we have a get together. So 7 o'clock is the time, normally 7:30, 8, whatever, depending on the season. And you are traveling by car or by Ola, Uber, whatever. So we were en route, there was a lot of traffic jam, and I phoned up one of my postmates that, yeah, bahut time lag raha hai, there is a lot of traffic, and I was cursing the traffic. So he heard me for 5 minutes. He says, where are you? So I said, I'm at so-and-so place. No, are you in the car or you are at home? Or no, I said, I am in the car. So he says, are you part of the same traffic? Are you constituting the traffic? Then what right do you have to curse the traffic? So discipline for others, discipline for us also. So this all, I think, are the 3 takeaways that you can take for, there are many others. But then these are the 3 which came to my mind when that question was asked. Anything else you can ask me, Mr. Suresh.
I think this is good, Brigadier. Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody is asking something? Yeah.
No, I was just saying this is good, Brigadier Vedar. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, I heard a lady voice asking some question.
Was it? Did I miss?
Good evening, Brigadier Vidhu. Sometimes my voice sounds like that. Many always wish me good evening, ma'am, good morning. So probably,
Good evening. How are you?
yeah. Okay. So, Brigadier Vidhu, it's not a question. Maybe sometime later you can explain. If you see, when he started with about Duryodhan, he
Yeah.
was fully aware that he was unrighteous and he knows the value of righteousness, but still he expressed his inability that he couldn't follow righteousness. So I just thought maybe somewhere we can deliberate in the next session. Is it because of karma or whatever it is that why people know fully well what they do is wrong, but still they continue to do so, whatever the compulsion began.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I will certainly give it a try.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very, very good question. Thanks for asking that, Murli sir. That was there on my mind also. Great you brought that up.
Thank you, sir.
Because we know our changing, I think it's also about changing behavior. We know this is not good, but we are not able to bring about that change in behaviors.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you very much, everyone, for taking out time and joining us this Sunday evening. And I don't have words to thank you, Brigadier Vidur, for the detailed research that you have done in this. And so amazing. It was so amazing just listening to it. And yeah, Jai Sri Ram. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, God.
See you in the 4th part.
Yes. And we look forward to the next session. We'll be announcing the dates for that very, very soon. Stay tuned. Those of you who have not filled in the feedback form, please fill the feedback form. And those of you who would like to join the community, you're most welcome. We'll be sending you emails with the link to join the community. We welcome you in Mindful Living community. Have a great remaining, whatever remains of Sunday, and a great productive week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ashish, and thank you all of you for bearing with me for the last 1.5 hours. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Brigadier Vidar.